What's going on, you bunch of heathens? Today we are checking out Rorke's Drift by Sabaton. Contrary to what the video picture behind me says, we are checking out the fan music video for it, which has 31 million views. So, yeah. Told y'all I wanted to try checking out more fan anime music videos for it, so thought this was a good time. The original's linked below. Go check it out. And without further ado, let's jump in. Oh, hell yeah. I believe what was it y'all said? Like some of their more older projects, you can tell that they're older because they have a more standard, I guess, metal vibe to them. I'm assuming this is one of them.
Chance for peace and justice gone, and the cause has been in vain. A prince has been abducted, and here comes the path of war. Now the 1,500 men are dead, and the Zulus at the door. Zulus attack, fight back to back. Show them no mercy and fire at will. Kill or be killed, facing or waiting a hostile spear. A new frontier, the end is near. There's no surrender.
Have I seen... Okay. So if y'all watch... Who was it? Remy? I believe... Is this... Remy Down Under, gaming YouTuber. Plays Arma a lot in games like that. Did he do a Arma video based around this? It seems very familiar. I'm not positive, though. Like, it is very familiar if that's what it is. I like this part. This part sounds awesome. Epic solo time. Oh, that's scary. Seeing a spear coming through the top. That'd be scary as shit. Damn, homie. Homie almost shot his buddy. Damn. Ooh, bounding forward. Set it on fire. I love how I'm watching the movie more than, like, I'm bringing in the song because I also have the lyrics pulled up. The issue is I don't know anything about this battle or anything that was really going on around here other than if this is the battle I'm thinking of, one thing, but I don't even think this is the same battle. Okay, I'm gonna go with no, this was not the same one. Oh, this is cool. Looks like he has maybe more, I'm not sure, but this does not look like the same one, because the one I saw, everyone died in it. Which is making me think, which I'm assuming then that this isn't the same battle. Which is good to know. I can't wait to check out the history, so we're jumping straight into that.
Rorke's Drift was a decisive battle between the smaller but better armed British and the Zulus. Now, this showcased the overpowering technological might of the colonial invaders.
And our song Rorke's Drift is about that battle.
I didn't make the joke before, but I'm gonna make it now. Name a better companion piece. The British and colonizing, other than British and colonizing.
January 22nd, 1878, in the age of colonization and conquest. By now, the British ultimatum to the Zulu nation to both withdraw and disband their troops had expired. Overconfident of victory, the British 24th Regiment went out to face the Zulu in battle at the foot of a little mountain called Isandlwana. The British, though, had left their wounded and sick behind at a small mission near the Buffalo River. There, on the western slopes of a hill the Zulu called Shiane, the men spent their days drilling and parading under the command of the officers Bromhead and Reynolds. The two thatched buildings and the compound were known as Rorke's Drift. James Rorke had been the son of an Irish soldier who had fought in one of the many border wars against the local.
Rorke's Drift. If y'all have played Red Dead Redemption 2, or even 1, the name is very familiar. Is there a place called Rorke's Drift in that game? Because swear to God, I feel like I fucking heard of it as I was God, what was it? As I was riding around.
African tribes. James, on the other hand, had made a living by trading, hunting, occasional gun running with the natives until his suicide. His estate changed hands until it came to a Swedish missionary, who in turn leased the compound to the British colonial forces to use as a hospital and a storage space. As afternoon drew near, the wind carried the sounds of distant gunfire through the valleys to Rorke's Drift. It was the distinct sound of the two 7-pounder guns that the British main body had carried with them. At first, this caused little concern. For just a year earlier, a small British force had triumphed over 6,000 Xhosa warriors, so this would surely go no differently.
Xhosa? I thought that name was pronounced like a sh. Huh. He would probably know more than me,
Right?
so okay.
Well, as the
Or
cannon fire
Xhosa.
subsided, a lone rider came galloping towards them. The man was terrified and without his weapon, only repeating a single sentence over and over again. The camp is taken by the Zulus. The camp is taken by the Zulus. More riders soon arrived, this time men of the native mounted contingent. None spoke English, but they had a note that read that the camp at Isandlwana was in danger of being overrun. Rorke's Drift was to be fortified at once.
That's interesting. They had a native contingent. That's really interesting. Okay.
Told that the main force had been slain. Chance for peace and justice gone, and the cause had been in vain. The prince had been abducted, and he had gone the path of war. Now the 1,500 men are dead, and the Zulus at the door.
The men began barricading the missionary compound. Everything useful was dragged out of the storehouse, all except for the kegs of rum and water. The reserve ammunition boxes were open. They had 20,000
Why is all the rum gone?
cartridges, enough to make a stand. They stockpiled food, mostly hardtack and bully beef, and stacked the heavy, these are 200-pound mealie bags and biscuit boxes, it's like 100 kilos, into a defensive wall. Most of the compound was shielded by a waist-high stone fence, which they now reinforced. Both buildings were solid brick houses, though, with the larger storehouse about 30 meters from the hospital, which was small, divided into 11 rooms and crammed with men, now making shooting holes in the walls while all windows and doors were barricaded. The men knew that their enemy would be merciless and spare no one, not even the wounded. The last remaining biscuit boxes and mealie bags were used to create a barricade in front of the storehouse. This was a last keep in case of a breakthrough. As the evening drew close, the lookouts on the roof spotted the first Zulu warriors. There had not been enough time to clear the fields around the station, and there was plenty of cover for the enemy. The Zulus approaching Rorke's Drift were of the 5,000 men-strong Undi Corps. During the battle at Isandlwana, they had been part of the Horns of the Buffalo, the Zulu tactic to envelop their enemies. They had been
the Horns of the Zulu. I've heard of that.
widely outflanking the British, but ultimately came too late to take part in the battle. The defeat of the British had been achieved without them. They had been denied glory. Now, Zulu military organization was divided by age and rank, and there was a deep rivalry between the regiments. Only those mature veteran regiments that had won glory in battle were awarded the rights to marry and to bear the sacred white shields into battle. The Undi Corps consisted of men in their physical prime, around 30 years old, hungering for pride and social status. They very much wanted to prove themselves. Led by Prince Tabulamanzi Kampende, they made their way to Rorke's Drift.
That is a dope-ass name. Holy shit. And a prince, nonetheless. Like, I'm sorry, that's just a really cool name. I like his name.
The Zulu warriors were not suicidal fanatics or anything, but cunning, courageous, and highly athletic light infantrymen, skilled in using their traditional weapons, clubs and spears. A few bore firearms, and although they were untrained in handling those effectively, even an unskilled rifleman could find his target. When they appeared on the scene, the native mounted contingent had turned and fled, which left 154 men as the defenders of Rorke's Drift, 20 of whom were ill. At around 4:30 p.m., the battle began. The first Zulu attacked in a frenzy. Worked up by their witch doctors and narcotic stimulus, they charged towards the south wall of the mission, 600 warriors against only 30 defenders. The British soldiers fired into the advancing men. Now, a trained British soldier was able to load and fire the Martini Henry rifle every 7 or 8 seconds. So people got off around 8 or 9 shots each in the time it took the Zulus to close in. Now, they sprinted from cover to cover, disregarding the men that fell. At 200 meters, the rifle fire caused massive damage as the Zulu shields offered no protection against the high-caliber bullets.
I was gonna say,
just
Martini,
before they reached the barricade,
Martini Henry is a very big round. So their shields wouldn't do anything. And yes, that's relatively fast for the time, the guns. But at the same time, all I'm thinking about is, with how many enemies you have, they're still going to close in fairly quickly.
the British officers ordered a salvo at point-blank range. The devastating effect of this fusillade broke much of the attack's strength. Still, single men and small groups fought on, trying to scale the walls. Pumped up on adrenaline, they jabbed with their assegai spears against the defenders. But once they tried to climb the barricades, they were easy targets for the longer British bayonets. Once at the barricades, it was close-quarter combat. The British officers dashed from point to point, revolvers in hand, inspiring the men to stand firm, shooting into the massive attackers that pressed the defenses. Where they could, the men worked together, one stabbing, the other reloading. The officers knew that the first battle they had to win was the psychological one. If the men faltered in fear, if they hesitated to kill or lost their heads in terror, all was lost. The Zulus would not be allowed to enter the compound. But the men did not hesitate. Desperation meant aggressiveness. They knew that they would either fight or they would die.
Pretty good motivator.
At 5 o'clock, the great mass of the Undi Corps threw itself against the mission. The British held. The Martini Henry rifle was superb in this kind of fighting. Even when held like a pike, the soldier could still pull the trigger, and the long bayonet had the range on the Zulu's short spears. Soon, a belt of corpses lay around the mission. Another obstacle the attackers had to step over. The chaplains and the wounded men passed ammunition and water to the defenders. It was evening, but still the sun was beating down, and the constant fighting was exhausting and dehydrating.
Yeah,
it was
sounds
adrenaline
fucking exhausting.
and camaraderie that kept the men sharp. Still, the Zulu came on. By 5:30, the defenders were nearly overwhelmed. The lines were just too thinly held, and they now ran the risk of losing everything. The growing exhaustion and the casualties had made them retreat to the inner line and establish a center of resistance around the storehouse, behind the walls of biscuit boxes and mealie bags. By 6 o'clock, the Zulu commander were getting frustrated. This was supposed to be an easy battle, but the casualties were high, and there had been no major breakthrough yet. They had been fighting for 90 minutes, but the British line still held firm, though the hospital had been cut off. Soon, it was surrounded, and the Zulu were throwing burning spears on the thatch roof. It caught fire, and the men inside had no choice but to flee. Everything played out in a few minutes. Men jumped out of the windows, some making a dash across the compound. Others tried to carry the wounded and sick with them, while others fought the Zulu, who were now breaking through the doors. They were cut down by the Zulu. It was now all down to the final perimeter.
Oh, fuck.
As the sun began to set, they made a massive attack to overwhelm the defenders. There were no tactical maneuvers here. They either broke them or they did not. Once again, they were beaten back. Darkness fell at 7 o'clock. British ammunition was running low, and rifles were running hot from constant use. Again, the Zulus tried to throw assegai wrapped in burn.
God, yet again, that's another thing I didn't think of. Like, how, like, yeah, you got the heat bearing down on you and whatnot, but also with how many rounds they'd be putting through their guns, those guns must have been getting fucking very fucking
burning
hot
grass
by
on the
that
storehouse roof. But this time, they were shot down in the attempt. Slowly but surely, the Zulu spirit was wavering. Throughout the night, the
It's not an
aggressive
easy thing to
chanting was
do,
heard around
from
the
what I've
compound.
heard.
But the major weakness of the Zulu, their lack of a supply system, was getting to them. They were hungry, they were thirsty, and they were exhausted. It was a sleepless night for the defenders, but as dawn broke, the Zulu were gone. The Zulu host may still appear, but they would no longer attack. After a while, the British ventured out onto the battlefield. They searched the remnants of the hospital for survivors, but it was a gruesome sight. The Zulu had hacked their comrades to pieces. The official report said that 350 Zulu were counted dead, but according to diaries, it was many hundreds more. At 8 a.m., a relief company finally appeared, and Rorke's Drift was saved. 11 Victoria Crosses, the most ever awarded to a regiment for a single action, would be awarded to the defenders for a victory against a force that had outnumbered them by far. Now,
pretty deserved, I would say.
That might sound like just another heroic tale of a ragtag squad of outnumbered men spending their last bit of strength to defend themselves against an onslaught of madmen. Madmen who they had come to rescue from a life in hardship by bringing them into the modern age. And that's sure as hell how the British portrayed it and saw it.
Of course, that's how they saw it.
But let's think
and
of this
portrayed it
from the Zulu perspective for a moment. To them, it was a fight against an invading enemy, an enemy that came with superior weapons, an enemy that came to impose on the Zulus strange customs, an enemy that wanted to change the structure of Zulu life and culture, an enemy that had already shown a willingness to steal and exploit, and an enemy that knew nothing of the Zulu ways, showed no pardon, and knew no mercy. There is merit, perhaps, to both ways of seeing it. But in the aftermath of the Battle of Rorke's Drift, what the Zulus would remember most was probably the improvised gallows used to hang hundreds of the captured Zulu fighters as punishment for daring to attack this invader with such primitive fury. Executions for daring to kill these British men who thought themselves superior, and indeed were superior, in the art of mechanized killing.
God damn, improvised hundreds of That's fucking grim.
So Rorke's Drift is an interesting song for you guys to choose because you have a lot of things about world wars, Swedish history, stuff like that. Things that might be more obvious choices. And Rorke's Drift is, this is colonial Africa. Now, the reason I think it's interesting is because the colonization of Africa is a very sensitive subject to a lot
It
of
is
people.
very.
I mean, there were a great deal of atrocities committed there. You think, especially things like what happened in the Belgian Congo. Now, Belgium, unlike
Yet again, more about the Belgian Congo. I have to learn more about it. I have to learn more about the Belgian Congo. Because that's all, I keep seeing enough references to it recently. And y'all tell me about it, all this stuff. I have to learn about
like the
this.
British Crown ruled the British colonies. But Belgian Congo, that was the personal property of King Leopold. It wasn't Belgium that had it. It was counted as his personal property. And the first
I didn't know
real
that.
genocide of the 20th century was stuff that happened in some of the German-occupied colonies in Germany, East Africa and stuff, which happened, 10 years before the Armenian genocide and stuff like that. So I found it really interesting that you would pick a sensitive topic like, well, you do, I mean, when you cover the Six-Day War and other.
Well, not even just that. He talks about the rise of Hitler. They talk do songs about the rise of Hitler and shit like that. So yeah, they don't shy away from it. This whole album, because I just looked at it, this whole album's off The Last Stand. And this fits the narrative pretty well.
But I don't know anyone else who's ever written a rock song, a pop song, a rock and roll song, a country song, anything about the British colonization of Africa.
But you gave me an idea. We should do a country song about it.
A country song about Rorke's Drift? It sounds like a country song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because the Battle of Isand Luwana doesn't sound like a country song.
No, that's more like hip-hop.
Now, I'm curious what our fans from the southern parts of Africa, from any race or any region, think of this, because I know this is going to lead to a lot of comments and it's a lot of interesting discussion. I'm not saying this is something I don't look forward to. This is something I actually do look forward to see how people perceive
Yeah, that is
the
interesting.
battles.
Well, let's look at the comments really quick. Yeah, jokes about saving the rum. Oh, okay, so there's no musical details. See what he says here. Oh.
And the colonization of these parts of Africa it was called the Scramble for Africa in the 1880s and 1890s. Everybody wanted bits and stuff. The only person who didn't was Bismarck, Chancellor Bismarck. Okay? He thought it would be a useless drain on German resources and they should be focusing elsewhere. Now, of course, this all came to play heavily in the First World War, like when Germany went through Belgium to attack France, and Britain joined the war, and the reason they gave to the public was, well, we guaranteed Belgian neutrality, and as Foreign Secretary Edward Grey actually said, okay, well, that wasn't the reason, that was a reason, but there were other reasons. What if Britain had not, for example, joined the war? They didn't have to. They weren't under attack. There are other reasons why they did. Because somebody was going to win and tip the balance in mainland Europe. So
yeah.
Either way, you're going to have to be on one side or the other. But think of colonial Africa. I know. Think of colonial Africa. Britain does not join the war, right? So the Germans just take the Belgian Congo, and suddenly they have half of Africa and east to west Africa and could do whatever they like, and they've cut the British off.
Do you realize I've learned more about the colonization of Africa in those 2 minutes? Oh, by the way, unscripted talking
hey.
than I did in 9 years of basic school.
Well, it's
Honestly, same here. And also, I love this kind of shit because I love it when people who love what they talk about, who are super interested in this stuff, I love it when they start just talking. And you can tell how passionate they are about it. And you can tell Indy's passionate about it. And it's just super fun to listen to. He went quiet. My ass went quiet. I love learning about this shit.
And you learn to put things into the little perspective. But it's interesting to think that, if Britain wanted to preserve its hegemony in Africa, that's a reason they had to join the war as well. And it's a reason that nobody ever talks about either, because it's so lost between the other regions. Like either France or Germany was going to win in Western Europe. One way or another, that's going to tip the side. If it's Germany, Germany has the second biggest navy in the world behind Britain. Do you really want those guys to have ports on the English Channel? No. So there's another reason to join France instead of joining Germany. So there were a bunch of reasons why Britain really had to join the war, although the best way to tell your people that you're joining the war is not to say, well, we don't want the Germans to take the Belgian Congo, because nobody cares about that at home in Britain. And you want to say, well, we guaranteed poor little Belgium. In 1830, we said we guarantee your neutrality, so we have to join the war. And that you can sell the war to the public.
You have to learn how to sell it.
Politicians do it, usually.
There's always
I heard someone
the
talking in the
reason that you
background.
sell it to the public, which is a simple emotional reason. And there's always the real reasons, which include the simple emotional reason, but they have other reasons that'll be reasons of economics, finance, and national security. That's why people join wars, unless they're idiots. I mean, people sometimes do that.
It's happened once or twice.
So yeah, well, that's Rorke's Drift.
That's a very different interview.
I know. I'm really glad we had this talk.
And that
Just
is
talking to
all
you.
for today.
Okay, see you next time on Sabaton History.
That was fun. I like that a lot. I always have fun with these. And whenever he gets in his little, I love indies, like I call them Tism Talks. I like them. They're fun. Make sure you guys check out the originals. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out another one of my reactions. Sure, there's something in there for y'all. And until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. See ya.